Hello, my name's Pete and I'm recording the next video in a series of me trying to mount a Reflex sight on my shotgun. This one's a CT Rad Max Pro. It's one of the larger ones you can find out there, and I'm using a saddle mount that's been customized so that I can mount this down lower than what you would normally if you're using a Picatinny adapters. So that's going to go in there like this. Now the good thing about a reflex sight or any scope is that you can adjust it, the point of aim. So although you do have that adjustment, I want it to be relatively accurate when I mount it. So I've set up an arrangement here with the barrel pointing at a dot on the wall over there. You just see it there. You probably can't see it very well focused through here, but I've lined that up through there. And the idea is I'll have this turned on, and when I put the adhesive on there, it'll I can do some slight adjustments to make sure it's pretty close to being zeroed. If I didn't need to do that, I would probably just use double-sided tape, which I've actually got some, which is probably how I'll mount the saddle mount later, but this has still got one side of its wax paper on the side. So because I want to do these little adjustments before it sets, that's why I'm using adhesive instead of just double-sided tape, automotive double-sided tape. Now the intention here is just to put a little bit on, just enough to hold it in place and let it dry. Then we do those adjustments, and then once it dries out, once that first sort of tacking operation dries, then I can put a decent amount of sealant on after that. So I did find that it was a little bit low. So what I'm going to do is just going to put this little piece of wire across the front, just to lift it up a bit as I glue it, and then I can just slide that out later once the glue's dried. So that's the plan with that one. Okay, so just pause this and I'll put the camera in place. All right, here we go. Now, hopefully I've poked a hole in the end of this, just a very small one, which is smaller than what you'd normally do with a caulking gun. I'm trying to keep this fairly precise, this sort of exercise. Now the key with, at least I've found with these caulking guns, is you got to expect to waste a good amount. Don't worry about wasting some. Odds are, if you're anything like me, you're going to have plenty left over, and that's all going to go hard anyway. So don't worry about wasting a little bit here and there. So the idea is just going to put a dab on the front there. All right. They're the ones that'll be the most important when it comes to the recoiling action. So hopefully that's just enough to keep it still, and I won't be able to get in there after it's set, after I've mounted it. So now I'll just put a bit of a strip down the bottom here. I've never done this before, so this could be a video of me making a huge mistake, but it's all right. Just a little bit, we don't need lots to get started. Whoops, I've touched that bit of the front. I'll put more glue on later. Just enough to keep us, more than just a couple of drops. I mean, you could put just a couple of drops to start with, but I won't be able to get into this area afterwards. So I'm just trying to put in an adequate amount on the actual surfaces. Hopefully that's enough, right? So I don't want to overdo it. Could have a tiny bit more, but I'm just going to leave it. Another tip is Don't get greedy. Something's going to do a reasonably good job. Don't get greedy and just stop while you're ahead. So now this is the tricky bit. I want to line it up on there. Oh, I nearly forgot my bit of wire. This is a bit of wire to help with the height. It's not quite the right height. So I've just got a bit of wire there just to lift the front up a little. And the idea is got to line up the sensor in the front to be right in the middle of the gap. And there's some holes in the actual reflex side itself, so I can see sort of when I'm lined up. Although it occurs to me that I'm actually looking at the glue, not the actual gap that I had before. So, but I'll use the screw at the back and line it up with the saddle mount lines. So that sensor at the front is pretty close to centered now. There we go, so it's looking reasonably good. Let's just have a look through the side to see if it's hitting that dot. It's not too bad. I might just push the back down just a touch. Just a touch. That's looking pretty good. Okay, so it's just a little bit to the right. Let me just see if there's anything that needs adjusting. If I move the back to the right, it'll just move that. Okay, that's pretty darn good. I'm gonna leave it there. Okay, so that's it. Don't touch it. Let it sit, and we'll go from there.